Hey, welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. Think Thursday is all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. We're talking neuroscience. We're talking behavior change. We are talking about your mindset. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, hello and welcome or welcome back to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist. Think Thursdays are where we talk about your brain and we focus on behavior change, mindset, neuroscience, and brain health. And brain health is really where we are going today because this week on July 22nd, we honored World Brain Day. Yes, it's actually a thing, World Brain Day. And it is a great opportunity to pause and ask yourself, how often are you thinking about the health of the thing that is doing all the thinking? All right. It is so important. Your brain health, we get really caught up with our heart health, right? Most of us are concerned because most of us have probably heard that the number one cause of death in the United States, at least, is heart attack. It outpaces everything else by quite a bit. But neurodegenerative health is feared, and losing our ability to have cognitive function is something that most adults fear. If you're someone who values long term wellness, autonomy, and peace of mind, not just for now, but for 10, 20, even 30 years from now, your brain health deserves your attention. And the good news is that you may have more influence over cognitive aging than you may think. And like I said, surveys show that more than 75% of most Americans are worried about memory loss as they age, and only a third of them actually believe that they can do anything about it. So that's a mindset that I want to challenge, and I want to encourage you to take action because it's not true. You can do things to help prevent cognitive aging, and there are daily evidence based practices that significantly impact your brain's vitality. And today I'm going to walk you through 5 of them using a simple acronym. If you know me at all, well, maybe, I mean, I would say most people who know me know that I love a good acronym. So this one I created and it is called SHARP. All right. So SHARP. SHARP is our acronym for the things that I want you to focus on with regards to your brain health. Number 1, S. S stands for both sleep and stress regulation. Now, I have talked about both sleep and chronic stress on these Think Thursday episodes before because they are undoubtedly right at the top of the list for your cognitive function. We will call them the twin engines of cognitive recovery. Sleep isn't just about energy. It is where and when your brain literally cleans house. During deep sleep, cerebrospinal fluid flows more freely through your brain tissue, cleaning out metabolic waste, including beta amyloid. And that is the same protein that is linked to Alzheimer's. In fact, a large scale study found that people in their 50s and 60s who routinely sleep fewer than 6 hours per night have a 30% higher risk of developing dementia later in life. So, if you're one of my people out there who struggles with sleep, and listen, I feel you because I struggled for a long time. First of all, alcohol's not helping. Okay. So, for those of you that are here listening to the big podcast, listening to Alcohol Minimalist, I am telling you right now, you've got to change your nightly routine if you are drinking alcohol every night. It is impacting your ability to get good sleep. And if you are somebody, women, your hormonal shifts often cause problems with waking up in the middle of the night, like I said, I feel you, I hear you. You've got to figure out strategies to help yourself get back to sleep. Doesn't matter if you have a break in the middle of the night, but we want to make sure that we're aiming to get more than 6 hours of sleep total per night. Wear a sleep tracker, wear an Aura ring, wear a Fitbit. This is not an Apple Watch. These are not promos for these products, but I do wear one. I wear two actually, and I do manage and look at my sleep quality. You want to pair that with paying attention to your chronic stress. Chronic stress, we've talked about it multiple times on the podcast, floods your system with cortisol, and over time, it shrinks the prefrontal cortex. And that disrupts memory encoding and increases inflammation. It also, I should say, disrupts memory encoding and increases inflammation throughout the brain. So if you've ever said, I can't think straight when I'm stressed, well, you're probably absolutely right. Your brain is operating from a different control panel, and your brain needs recovery. All right. How can you support it? Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of consistent screen free sleep. Now, friends, I got to tell you, I like to listen to things at night when I wake up in the middle of the night, and that requires my screen to get me back to some sort of listening. At least that's what I've been doing. And I don't know, I'm starting to question that. I was listening to another podcast this week and talking about screen time. I got to tell you, that's another thing we've got to start doing with regards to stress. You've got to disconnect. You've got to leave your phone, put it down, get it off your person, put it someplace. Start small. All of us are on our phones way too much. I am raising my hand because I am right there with you. And I want to prioritize putting my phone somewhere away from myself for at least 1 to 2 hours a day. You've got to get your head up. You got to be present. You got to pay attention. And you'll notice it's been proven. It is a dopamine serotonin enhancer when you're constantly scrolling on your phone. It's a quick hit, just like other external drug sources. And you've got to detox from it. So, okay, that went totally off the rail here but screen-free sleep, right? Okay, so I got to figure out a different way to listen to things if I'm going to listen in the middle of the night. And it's a better practice to put away the screens and get 7 to 9 hours of consistent screen-free sleep. It's also a stress reducer, so I guess that's where I was going with that. Use stress reducers that work for you. Walking, breath work, expressive writing, yoga. These are meditation, right? These are great ways to help reduce stress. Consider simple wind down routines to reinforce circadian rhythms, dim the lights, reduce blue light, and allow your brain to shift gears. This is how you can you can support your own brain's recovery with sleep and minimizing stress. So that was S in our SHARP. S for sleep and stress regulation. H, health conditions and cardiometabolic risk. H is for health management. All right. Especially conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, and elevated cholesterol. These aren't just heart concerns. These are brain concerns. The brain is a high demand organ. It uses 20% of your oxygen supply. And damage to even small blood vessels from hypertension can reduce blood flow, impair the delivery of nutrients, and increase stroke risk. A key study showed that people with untreated hypertension in midlife experienced steeper declines in executive function and memory 3 decades later. Even subtle shifts in blood flow and glucose regulation can impair the brain's capacity to form new memories, focus, and maintain processing speed. So health management, H is for health management. What do? You got to know your numbers. You need to know your blood pressure. You need to know your fasting glucose. You need to know your LDL and your HDL. And if you haven't been to the doctor to find those numbers out, don't let fear stop you from going. This is a PSA. Go figure out and find out your baseline numbers, these very important numbers, your blood pressure, your fasting glucose, and your LDL and HDL. Engage in collaborative care early, not after a crisis. Our medical system is set up for taking care of you when you're ill. I want to encourage you to start being your own advocate and be preventative about your health care, about your health management. Reduce refined carbs and sugar, increase omega-3s, and incorporate strength training to support insulin sensitivity and cardiovascular health. This is all under the H of health conditions and cardiometabolic risk, which we're also then putting under the health management, H, health management. So we've got S for sleep regulation and stress regulation, and we've got H for health management. These are not just heart concerns, these are brain concerns, and I want you to think of it that way. The A in our SHARP acronym stands for activity, both physical and cognitive. All right. So I know I kind of like said this was going to be 5 things and then every one has 2 pieces. So it's kind of 10. I don't want that to overwhelm you. All right. Activity, physical and cognitive. A, we're talking about both physical movement and mental stimulation. So let's start with movement. Exercise, especially aerobic movement, is one of the most powerful cognitive enhancers we have. I listened to a podcast this week. It's the Mel Robbins podcast. I'm sure many of you listen to it. Maybe you haven't. Mel's podcasts are long, but they are always super informative. She has on some amazing guest experts, and across many of her episodes, she was boiling down the basic 3 habits that everybody should start for their better health. And the number one is moving your body. And it's so important for your overall health. It's the only thing that has been proven to reduce your not your biologic age, but your expressed age. So, your chronological age is the actual age of your body. And then the age that your body expresses, and I'm not saying that the right way, but basically your lived age can be different based on your habits. And the number one habit that can impact that and actually decrease your expressed age is movement, is exercise. And you don't have to rush out, join a gym. You don't have to run a half marathon. I've got a really simple formula. This was from the Mel Robbins podcast and Dr. Vonda White, and it is very simple. 4 days a week, walk 45 minutes. 4 days a week, 45 minutes. 2 days a week, you got to practice building strength. Your goal is to be able to lift your own body weight or heavier, and you want to get to lifting heavy weight. But the way that you start doing that is by doing push-ups. And there is you got to do 11 push-ups. The goal is to get to 11 standard push-ups on your full push-ups, not on your knees, ladies, but you are going to start wherever you are. If the only push-ups you can do right now is against a wall, great, start there. If you can do knee push-ups, then start there. But aim to get to eventually doing 11 standard push-ups. So you got 45 minutes 4 times a week. You got 2 days of doing the standard push-ups. And then every single day, once per day, you're going to practice balance. You're going to do that maybe when you are brushing your teeth, maybe when you are washing the dishes, when you're standing someplace. You want to start working, just lift up 1 foot practice your balance. So that's a simple formula right there for how to get started exercising, especially if you haven't been doing anything recently. But exercise is the most powerful tool we have for our overall health. And it is one of the most powerful cognitive enhancers that we have as well. Why? It increases brain derived neurotrophic factor, which is a molecule that supports neuroplasticity and protects neurons against age related decline. And in MRI studies, people who exercise regularly actually show greater hippocampal volume, which is the key brain region that is there down in the lower part of the brain for learning and memory. And mentally, the use it or lose it principle applies. Dr. Roy Hamilton at Penn suggests thinking of brain training like a diet. You need variety and challenge. So, what to do? Like I said, I just gave you the 4 days a week, 45 minutes of walking, yada yada, that whole thing from Dr. Vonda, right? I will link it in the show notes. Or you can just start with 5 days, 30 minutes per day of moderate exercise, just like walking is a great one. Add in some resistance training to promote neuroendocrine health. And the thing that we're also talking about is cognitive challenging. So choose one new cognitive challenge each month. Learn a new skill, try a new puzzle, dive into a topic that you know little about and just learn about it. The sweet spot, tasks that are mildly challenging, but not so hard that you give up, and not so easy that you put them on autopilot. All right. So, one new cognitive challenge each month and get yourself moving. A is for activity, both physical and cognitive. R, like I said, we got two R's as well. R's is for relationship and restorative practices. Neuroscience has confirmed that we are wired for social interaction. I think we all know that. Loneliness is a cognitive risk factor, and it is associated with greater inflammation, reduced neurogenesis, and faster memory decline. One study out of Harvard found that older adults who had pleasant social contact, even just a few times per week, had better attention and memory scores for up to 48 hours. That's how powerful human connection is. Its effects last beyond the interaction itself. And by restorative practices, we're not just talking sleep. We mean purposeful mental rest, unstructured time, mind wandering, nature walks, short daily resets. This is where I'm talking about that putting your phone away. I want you to get purposeful mental rest away from your devices. Micro resets, these small things that you do, right? Taking a break, mind wandering, short daily resets, they reset your attention system and allow your default mode network, that inner narrative and creative center, to do important behind the scenes work. You should schedule phone calls or coffee dates like appointments. Create that tech-free block in your day. You should get outside for 10 to 20 minutes and don't bring your phone. And listen, I know that's hard. I know it's hard. I love listening to audiobooks and podcasts, and I love to do it when I walk. And it is a struggle for me to do that without them. It was a struggle for me to do that without them. But I have required of myself to take at least one walk per week right now. That's where I am. I'm meeting myself where I'm at without them. And I'm learning to be present and to notice the things around me and to be mindful and grateful of the beauty in this world. And I'm telling you, it's starting to sink in and work for me. And I want you to experience that too. The P, The P stands for plant-based nutrition and a preventative lifestyle. A wealth of data supports the Mediterranean and MIND diets for reducing Alzheimer's risk. And these patterns emphasize leafy greens, berries, whole grains, fish, healthy fats like olive oil. Rather than focusing on a single superfood, it's the combination of nutrients, fibers, and anti inflammatory properties that protect the brain. And one large study showed that older adults who followed the MIND diet closely had brain ages 7.5 years younger than those who didn't. All right. That's the MIND diet. You can tell it comes, the acronym there comes from, is obviously very much tied to brain health. So check it out. I will try to find a good link to the MIND diet and put it in the show notes as well. Avoid the known cognitive disruptors. Number one, excessive alcohol. Don't do it. Be an alcohol minimalist, please. Trans fats, ultra processed foods, excessive sodium. These are all things that your brain are not good for your brain. And, they're just not good for us in general, right? We really want to build most meals around plants, legumes, and healthy fats. We want to be plant forward in our diet. We want to limit added sugars, fried foods, and alcohol to occasional indulgences. We want to hydrate well. We've talked about hydrating a few times here on the Think Thursday show. And because dehydration directly reduces brain volume and attention, your brain needs water. So the P stands for plant-based nutrition and preventative I'm going to say not plant-based, I'm going to say plant forward nutrition and a preventative lifestyle. This whole idea, sharp, all right, is really just, I want you to get the idea of how important your brain health is. It's really, one could argue, the most important because our brain controls everything. And yeah, it's also connected. If it's good for your heart, it's good for your brain. If it's good for your brain, it's probably good for your heart too. So these two pieces of your overall health couldn't be more important. S, sleep well and regulate stress. H, manage health risks like blood pressure and your glucose and your cholesterol. A, stay active mentally and physically. R, build relationships and allow mental recovery. And P, eat for prevention and cognitive longevity. That's what I have for you as we celebrate World Brain Day around here. Pick one area of the SHARP framework to focus on for the next 7 days. Not all of them. If you're doing a good job in a few of these areas, then kudos. Be happy about that. Keep going. Do this because your brain is the most complex, adaptive, and precious resource you will ever know. You will ever own, you will ever know. It's doing more than you understand. Take a moment, say thank you to your mind, and then show it some love this week, would you? Show your brain a little love and prioritize one part of the SHARP framework to start celebrating your brain's health. That's all I have for you this week. I will see you on Monday.